Hey, welcome to episode 110. That's right, folks. 110 episodes of Scar Bearers. I'm so happy for that to be a fact and for you to be here. I'm Chris DT Gordon, always thankful for your attention as we introduce you to another wonderful guest and share inspiring and motivational stories that will help you develop some more gratitude and some just inspire you to make the world a better place wherever you are. I want to thank Nate and Britton Barron for being part of the show. If you want them to work on your projects, please reach out to them at Nate Barron. Well, folks, you're likely here because you have subscribed to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. However, we need others to hear these inspirational messages. And so if you could do me a favor and share this message on your social media channels, give me a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that, because I guess that helps the algorithm or something. The YouTube gods deem you more worthy when you have subscribers. So if you can help me out, that'd be greatly appreciated. Well, I am blessed to have my friend, my friend and fellow speaker, Jesse Cruz, here with me today. Jesse, how are you?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, my friend. Well, besides being beautiful and bald, like we both are, and you're also a speaker. However, we speak on different topics, and yours comes from a source of pain like mine does. But while mine is, somewhat physical, yours is more of an emotional pain. Would you mind sharing that, please?
Absolutely. So 5 years ago, my wife and we had a child who was born prematurely, and she was 4 months early, and she was literally 1 pound, could hold her in the palm of my hand. And because her condition was so fragile, we never knew what would happen moment by moment. Being in her hospital room, she would have good days, and then there were moments where we would watch her flatline in front of us, and the doctors and nurses would come in, rush in to save her life and give her another day to live. And this became normal for us. I was watching my daughter fight for her life every single day.
Wow.
And after 42 days of fighting, she flatlined for the final time and literally passed away in our arms.
I'm so sorry. I know I've known your story for a while now, but every time it doesn't take away, the tragedy of it. And I'm sure she's on your mind every day. I'm certain.
Yeah, I mean, she's the reason why we do everything that we do. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing these things in business that I'm doing and reaching the people I'm reaching. So, I just tell people all the time, like, if a 1 pound girl can impact this many people, just imagine what you could do.
So what were the steps that you took immediately after her passing? I mean, I'm sure you didn't think, well, it's time to be a speaker. There had to be some kind of transition there.
It was really just the opposite. I wanted to
Really?
just crawl into the hole and never speak to anybody ever again. I never wanted to share a story. I didn't want to write a book. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to do any of the things I'm doing now. I just wanted to be away from everyone and be alone and by myself. I knew I needed to seek professional help, and that's what I did. And one of those ways that helped me cope during that time was writing. That became my therapy.
So did the therapist suggest that you start journaling?
So actually, I started the journaling all on my own, but the therapist in that group setting was the first time I was able to share openly with what I experienced. So that created an environment of safety and trust, which is what I love to build with people now, is just a place where people can be vulnerable and authentic and be able to share their stories. So finding a place and people where I could share my pain and trauma openly and not be judged and just be accepted for who I am was life-changing for me.
And you did that again in the group therapy sessions?
Correct.
Okay. I want to point that out because, and I'm sure you've heard this, Jesse, that there is a stigma against mental health and seeking mental, help through therapy. And I just want people to dispel that myth, because mental health is health. And I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I believe that it takes an incredibly strong human being to go to therapy.
Mhm. Yeah, because I mean, and I might be wrong on this, but it seems like you have to be able to look yourself in the eye and say, I can't do this on my own. I need to, have someone else get me through this. And we all have our egos that say, oh, you got this. There's nothing you can't handle. Well, I think you're right when you say the incredibly strong person says, well, maybe this is too big for us alone. And so, when you first went into that therapy session, where were you at in terms of, I know this is a weird question, I apologize, but I mean, where were you at within your recovery process? Was it you were at your lowest point, or was it that you were starting to come up?
That's a good question. So I think it was probably about a month and a half after her passing that uh, the decision was made that I was going to go get help, and I felt like I was at a low point for years. Um, that grief dragged for a long time, but I'm glad I made the decision to go do it, because that's what started the healing process. I wouldn't say I was at my lowest point. I'd say my lowest point was the night that she died. I mean, that was the lowest point of my entire life. So about a month and a half later, I decided that, I should probably at least make an attempt to try to heal. And so that's what I did.
Okay. All right. And so you joined this group therapy session. You've already been writing, I believe you said. At what point did you feel that you could turn that corner and start turning your pain into a purpose?
When I saw it was impacting people's lives,
Okay.
because I was writing for me because it helped me. And then when I saw how people were opening up to me, sharing with me how they lost a child or they lost someone they loved, or they're dealing with grief and pain that they've gone through. Once I saw it was able to really impact people, I was like, wow, like it's a lot bigger than me. Like there's so many hurting people in this world. And I just believe when people go through pain, that pain really isn't for them. It's for the people they're going to help with the pain that they've already gone through.
And I want to say before I forget, thank you so much. Well, not only I this didn't come up, but you were also a veteran of the military. I want to first thank you for your service for that, but also thank you for sharing your story, because as you said, it's used to serve other people. And so was there ever a point that you thought, wow, this is, I mean, well, of course you did, but at what point did you feel, wow, this could actually serve as a book? Because were you thinking that this was originally going to be published, or was this going to be just for you?
So it was interesting because I can still remember the moment we were on vacation. Because I wrote my first book, and then I wanted to write about what we went through with our daughter in the hospital. And I remember we were in Utah at the time on a vacation, and I remember I looked over at my wife. I said, look, I just want to write this story, and I want to publish this book, and I want to use this story to make a difference in the lives of people. And I just decided in that moment that I was going to go through with it. And I hesitated for a little bit because it was so personal. So it took a couple years for me to come around and to decide to write the book. So I think I started writing the book in 2019. So it was 2 years after she passed away, and I started the book writing process, and then I made that decision there that I was going to move forward with it, because I know that this pain isn't going to just be wasted, right? It's going to be used to change lives for others. So I just needed to be obedient to the call that was placed in my life and help people with it.
Okay. And so what was the process like for you writing that first book? Because we found that through the advent of Amazon and self-publishing, that there are different ways of going ahead and publishing or getting your story published. So how did you see that through?
Hmm. Yeah. So to the book writing process, um, the first book that came out immediately, that was 2 years after her passing. And then the one that was about her life was 4 years after her passing. They both took different approaches. The first one, like I said, you don't know how to write a book until you write a book, right? So it's like I was just completely lost and clueless the entire time, completely frustrated. I almost gave up like 20 times. I'm like, this is overwhelming and overbearing for me. But I just made a promise to myself that I was going to do it, right? And then when it came to writing the second book, which is about her life, I knew I needed to get a coach, right? So I had a coach help me through that entire process, keep me accountable, keep me on track, encourage me along the way. I mean, I tell everyone, everybody needs a coach. Like, even if you're a coach yourself, everyone needs one, because everyone needs that level of accountability. They need people to have their back and support them. And so when you have that, a coach for any task will make any task much more manageable and much more effective, and also a more efficient amount of time. And so that's what I decided to do. I said that the second one, I'm not going to have the same frustrations as the first one.
I think that's well, first of all, I want to hit on the coach thing. I definitely agree that having someone to spur you on, to challenge you, but also to be there by your side and cheer you on is great for, as you said, any endeavor. Because if you look at the greatest athletes in the world, yeah, they may have a head coach that runs the whole team, but even individual athletes, they have someone on the sideline helping them out, telling them what they need to do next to get better. And I do agree that we all could use a coach to help us with that. What was the first book called?
First book was titled Live Your Dash, Discovering the 8 F's to Freedom.
All right. And obviously the dash refers to the dash on a gravestone, that appears in stone, that it's a great symbol because within that dash, there's so much that can go on. And unfortunately in your daughter's situation, so much went on in such a short time span. What prompted you to use that title?
Live Your Dash?
Yes.
Well, for me, I just noticed that up until that moment, I was doing things that I thought were awesome in life, but I was existing, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really stepping into my purpose, into my calling. I was just getting through life. And I feel like many people do that and they don't ever discover what their purpose is. So this book laid out this 8-pillar framework of these 8 different areas of my life that got me through the most traumatic time that I ever experienced. And I realized, dude, if I was intentional on those 8 areas, that my life could drastically change. And it did. And so I was like, man, if this working for me during this time of my life, I know it could work for other people. And so I just wanted people to live a fulfilled life and to live their purpose and to not just exist in life, but to really live it.
I really resonate with that because I see so many people on Facebook and social media. They may post what they're doing, but it's existing. They're not living, they're just existing. And I really connect with that. If you don't mind sharing, Jesse, what are at least a couple of those pillars? I don't want to give away everything in your book, but I am very much intrigued by what those 8 pillars are.
Yeah. So they all start with the letter F. That's why it's called the 8 F's to Freedom. So there's family, there's faith, forgiveness, friendship. Those are 4 of the pillars that's more towards more of your relationships right there. So, and then there's obviously a few other ones as well, but those areas were so, impactful in my life. And I've noticed that no matter what people believe or whatever stage they're at in life, like all these 8 areas affect everybody, no matter your background, no matter what you believe in, no matter what you've experienced, these 8 areas impact our lives every single day.
So say I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate, and not just to be a challenger, but I am just intrigued to hear what your answer is. Say if someone is an atheist or a non-believer, how could the faith part affect them?
Oh, I think the atheist got more faith than anybody I know. I mean, that to me, an atheist has a level of faith I wish I had. I mean, that's faith. And I know that sounds contrary to what people say, but atheists, whether they realize it or not, their faith is huge. I mean, that faith is at a whole different level than most people. So for me, even an atheist has faith. I mean, we all have faith in something. You have faith when you go out to start your car is going to start. You have faith when you go to a job, you're going to get a paycheck. You know what I mean? You have faith that when you stand up, your legs are going to work. Everybody has different degrees and levels of faith. It's really just what you put your faith into.
I really appreciate that answer, Jesse. I was not expecting that. So I thank you so much for illuminating that. Because that, when you think about it, you're right. We have faith in so many things. I am not mechanically inclined in the least. My last name is Gordon. My brother's first name is actually Jeff, and he lives up to it. He is a car guy. I am the opposite. And so I put a lot of faith into my vehicles to make sure they work, because I couldn't fix them if I had a gun to my head. And so that faith really does fall into a lot of places in our lives. I mean, we have faith that the internet's going to keep going. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And so you get Live Your Dash published, and so that's going well. At what point did you decide to tell your daughter's story in the second book?
Yeah, I mean,
I know you said you were in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so how long after the first book? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the first book came out in 2019, and I remember it being, I think, just a few months before that, or a few months after that. I was like, you know what? There's more to the story I gotta tell. Mm-hmm. This story is a story of encouragement, a feel good story. But now I got to get more real with people, and show them that life isn't always rainbows and butterflies. There are hard times, and I just want to create an environment, especially for men, because I think men struggle with vulnerability. They don't want to talk about that they cried. They don't want to talk about their pain, their heartache, the traumas that they've gone through. So I'm like, someone's got to be the one to do it. Why not me? So I just decided it's going to be me. If no one's going to do it, I'm going to do it. And, I've been fortunate enough to meet so many men and other people throughout life that have shared things with me that they tell me they've never shared with anybody, and they don't even know me that well. But it's just because when you create that environment of that trust, then people are more willing to share what they've gone through.
That is incredibly powerful when you're able to reach someone at that level, that they're willing to, to open up themselves to you. And as you said, with something they have never told someone before. And I think that is a hallmark as to your character, Jesse, that you're such that person that they feel comfortable doing that. So I'm sorry, I missed it. What is the title of the second book?
The second of the title book is Losing Faith, Finding Hope.
Yep. And I couldn't remember the title, and I apologize, but I do remember the book cover, which it's heart-wrenching yet heartwarming. And would you mind describing, how the book cover came about?
Yeah, I was talking with my publisher. We had a couple of different book covers that were designed, and because I like to be personal with the people that are support what we do. I put the post up on Facebook. I actually put both covers up on Facebook, and I let the people decide. So I didn't even pick the cover of the book. It was the people on social media. They picked it, because I put it up, and hundreds of comments, and there was an overwhelming majority on which one that they liked. I said, this is what the people wanted, so I got to give them. So it was really the people who got to decide the cover of the book.
Yep. And what does that cover look like?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a turquoise color, with obviously the title in big letter, capital lettering, and then it's got footprints, infant footprints on there.
And are those your daughter's actual footprints?
Those are some digital footprints that we used. We
Okay.
had her prints. We were going to use her prints because we do have her prints.
Mhm.
But the way that her prints came out, the way it was getting put onto the book cover, I was like, you know what, it just doesn't look symmetrical, and it didn't look the way it was outlined. We're like, you know what, let's just use some digital footprints on here to represent her footprints as best as we can. So that's what we decided to do. And
Okay.
it came out beautifully. I mean, it's representing, the prints of people we've lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, the meaning is not lost by that, by that fact. But I just feel that that cover is so powerful that you definitely see the dichotomy of, the sadness of the loss, but yet the hope of the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Exactly.
I really appreciate that. Now, I know besides being an author of 2 books, you also are a speaker, and you actually have a pretty exciting event coming up. If you wouldn't mind sharing that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we have an amazing event coming up in Niagara Falls, New York, May 20th and 21st. It's a Friday and Saturday. It's called the Mike Story Speaker Competition. This is an opportunity for people from all over the country to come to the event and take the stage multiple times and share their story. It is a competition. There's a cash prize for the winner, and it's an opportunity for people to network and to connect, talk about their business, their brand, talk about their products and their services, and for a way to people get their message out, because we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. So this would be a perfect platform for people to go to that next level in their personal and professional branding.
Are you the one headlining this, or are you working with a group to do this?
Yep. So I am the one. I did create the event, but I obviously have a team of people that it's not going to be just me. Obviously, there's a team of us working together to make
Oh
this
yeah.
happen.
Oh yeah. You definitely need a team to get something like that off the ground. And so where can someone learn about more about this event, and where could they register?
Yeah. So actually, because I like to keep it personal. Every person that's been coming to the event has actually contacted me directly, because I like to interact with the people that come to our events, because we really strive to make it a family environment. So we really like to get to know the people and make sure it's a right fit, because we want people who are just driven to learn and to grow and to connect. And so we always have people reach out. Facebook is usually the best way. That's where I'm the most active. Facebook, Jesse Cruz, or Instagram, which is Jesse Cruz Speaks. Those are the best ways to connect with me. If people are interested in coming to the event, it's literally setting up, send me a DM. We set up a call and see if it's a good fit, and we just take it from there.
Well, that is unique. You don't hear people very often saying, "Oh, just reach out to me personally." Usually they have, "Oh, I have this website, and you can have this form to fill out." No, I really appreciate how grassroots this is, Jesse, because as you said, when you get to know people on a personal level, there's a greater sense of connection. And with that connection comes networking, and then you can help everyone out at a greater level by doing that. And so we'll definitely make sure we have that information in the show notes, and so people can reach out to you. What else is going on with you? And obviously you're a speaker, so you must be speaking at some events, correct?
Yeah, actually, because we're hosting, quite a few events. Most of my just focusing on our events for this year. I am speaking in Nashville this year, so that is something I'm currently committed to. Then we got like a retreat in October, and then we got some mastermind dinner events a couple times throughout the year. So a lot of it is focused on getting the right people in the room, and spreading a message of hope and encouragement, right? And letting people know that they're not alone, right? And they have a support network of people that they can trust and turn to. So my speaking engagements are not jam-packed, because we're just so focused on bringing people to our events and then speaking there, because we know that there's so many people out there, especially over the past 2 years. People have been isolated, they've been divided, they've been lonely. and having these live events that bring people back together again is just gonna be something so amazing, because its community can be reestablished through these paths. What our vision is empowering inspired entrepreneurs to grow and develop through sharing their story and community.
I do agree that, even though this pandemic has been jarring, and that's an understatement to some, that we all have developed ways of connecting in stronger, more longer lasting ways. And I definitely do applaud you for taking that step and using the situation we have to further that cause. So Jesse, throughout your journey, was there something that you found that maybe at the time you didn't consider it as a blessing that now you are greatly thankful for?
That's a good question.
Thanks.
I would say, I feel like there's a lot of things, but I would say specifically one, there was years and years ago, my best friend of we were friends since we were kids. One day, literally out of nowhere, straight up told me he didn't want to be my friend no more, and never talked to me again. And to this day, I honestly don't even know the reason why. I still don't even know. And we were we were in each other's wedding. We were close, you know what I mean? And he just said he didn't want to talk to me no more. And I didn't know the reason why. And you know what's crazy? I didn't even ask, because I thought to myself, I was like, if somebody who claims to love me and always be there for me could just X me out of their life just like that, then that shows me what that relationship was really built on. So although this person thought that they were maybe, I don't know, punishing me or giving me a consequence for something, it was actually one of the greatest blessings of my life. He did probably one of the greatest favors for me ever, because since that time, the amount of great friends that have stepped into that role has changed my life forever. I was holding on. I think a lot of times people hold on to relationships too long that they've outgrown.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll outgrow the relationship and they'll still hold on to it for the sake of what they call loyalty, right? Always being there for that person. But ultimately, it's healthy to outgrow people. And I think that's what's happened. And I don't really know, but I just think I was growing in a different direction than he was. Doesn't mean that my way was right or his was right. It just means it was different. And I realized, I was like, man, if I had just learned this sooner, now that the level of friendships I have now compared to what I had back then, it's completely different, and all for the good. And so I was so thankful for that life lesson he taught me about having the right people in your life for the season that you're in, because those people may have expired in your season and your journey for years and years ago, but we hold on to them for so long, trying to force it almost to work and to keep them around. But they're not meant to be with you the entire journey. They're meant to be there for a little while, and then you move on, and that's okay. And it's perfectly normal to do that. I don't wish nothing bad on him. I still got nothing but love for him. But he taught me a valuable lesson. So for that, I'm forever thankful to him. And I just think people really need to evaluate the relationships they have in their life.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I do think that's a valuable lesson that many people need to take to heart, because you're absolutely right. Some people are in our lives for a specific reason. And once that reason is over, it's okay to drift apart and go other ways. And it's not an indictment on you or them. It just, people are different, and being able to accept that, I think, is a huge lesson that many people need to learn, because we feel that, hey, it has to be this way. Well, no, it really doesn't. People they want to live their lives, and they should be allowed to, and without hurting other people. And so I greatly appreciate you sharing that, because like I said, it's a lesson I think many people need to accept before they can live their fullest life.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I have one more question for you, Jesse. You've shared so much about your book, and I greatly appreciate it, and your story as well. And I'm excited to share in the show notes where people can reach out to you and about the competition. But I have to know, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh man, I would have to say it's the T-Rex, and this is why.
All right.
Is because not only the animal itself is so intriguing, I think there's specific parts of, and I'm going to connect this back to being a human being.
All right.
So the T-Rex is a beast, right? We know the T-Rex is just a beast. He's like, he's the best, right? A lot of people think anyways. But the T-Rex has a specific limitation. And that is the way that he was designed, because his arms are small in the front. So the T-Rex has a limitation. But despite the limitation, he still was the man. Like the T-Rex is still a beast. Like the T-Rex didn't stop being a T-Rex because it had that limitation. It just kept on being a T-Rex. It kept being a beast despite the limitation. And I just think that's how I try to limit. I have a limitation, but I'm still going to try to be a beast no matter what.
I love that. I think I've learned more about T-Rexes and almost about anything else on this podcast, because so many people say T-Rex, but I mean, and some people say, oh, he's BA and, he's all this. But in the past 4 or 5 episodes, we've had people giving so many different viewpoints about the T-Rex. Like you gave that viewpoint about, him overcoming his limitations. Someone else in a previous interview said that they hunt, they're pack animals, which I didn't know about. Another person said they had the highest cognitive function of any dinosaur, which ironically blew my mind. So it's just crazy how much we're learning about T-Rexes. And thank you again for adding to that wealth of knowledge. So, but Jesse, thank you even more for being here with me today. I greatly appreciate you sharing your story, for stepping up to help others through the pain that you've experienced. And I wish you all the best in your speaking journeys and the speaker contest. And I'm excited to see where your journey goes next.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate your time.
Definitely. And so folks, look in the show notes to, where you can reach out to Jesse. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're interested in joining his speaker competition in Niagara Falls in May, please reach out to him, hit him up. If you want to reach out to me to learn more about the attitude of gratitude, you can find me at chrisdtgordon.com, also at chrisdtgordon on Instagram, and Chris D.T. Gordon at Facebook. I'm not very creative, apparently, but that's okay. I am who I am without spinach. Well, folks, thank you so much for being here with me today. Have a great day. And remember to pass on perfection and go for greatness.